The Gilded Age Season 4 trailer and Season 3 Episode 8 breakdown. Okay, I have to be honest with you. I thought I was prepared for the Gilded Age Season 3, Episode 4. I thought sure, we're getting the wedding we've been teased with since Bertha Russell first locked eyes on the Duke of Buckingham, and maybe some polite gossip over champagne. But no, the episode didn't just pour tea, it dumped the entire boiling pot on the marble floors of New York high society. And now, with the Season 4 trailer dropping hints like breadcrumbs in a dark alley, I can't stop asking myself one question: did Bertha Russell just play the most dangerous long game in the entire series? And is it about to blow up in her face? Because here's the thing: on the surface, Episode 4 looks like a fairy tale, lavish gowns, golden chandeliers, a daughter marrying a duke. But the more I think about it, the more I realize this wasn't a wedding. This was a power deal disguised as a wedding, and the bride, Gladys Russell, barely visible through half the episode, looked more like the bargaining chip than the belle of the ball. And before we dive into every dangerous implication, I need you to pause for 1 second. If you're the kind of person who doesn't just watch The Gilded Age but dissects it, pulling apart every silk ribbon until you find the knot in the middle, this is the channel for you. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next, because the secrets I'm about to pull from this episode are, well, let's just say they were never meant to leave the ballroom. Let's start with the wedding. Or should I say, Bertha Russell's victory parade, because make no mistake, that's exactly what it was for her. Every detail was orchestrated for prestige, for position, for the Russell name. But here's the part that sticks with me: Gladys wasn't smiling. In fact, the camera practically avoided her in the first half of the episode. Instead, we got Bertha in full command, directing servants, dazzling guests, locking eyes with anyone who dared question her choices. And I'm sitting there thinking, wait, whose day is this supposed to be again? You know that feeling when someone throws you a party but it's really for them? Yeah. Gladys was living that times 1,000, and the real sting, she still says, I do. Not because she's in love, not because she's happy, but because, in this world, a no would be social suicide. For her, and maybe even more so for Bertha. And here's where it turns sinister. We cut from the wedding straight to the ship, where the newlyweds sail off, and Gladys is suddenly pressured to, well, consummate the marriage. No soft music, no romantic build-up, just cold expectation. It's like the show wanted to hammer home, this wasn't a love story, this was a transaction. Now tell me, is it just me, or does this feel like the beginning of Gladys' storyline, not the end? Because in the Season 4 trailer, there are quick flashes that hint she may not stay quiet for long. And when a Russell woman decides to fight back, it's never subtle. Here's the forbidden part. The thing polite society in 1880s New York would never dare say out loud. Bertha didn't just marry her daughter to a duke. She married her to a scandal waiting to happen. There are already whispers that the Buckingham name isn't as untouchable as it looks. Financial instability, quiet affairs, even political enemies in London. And Bertha just hitched her family's reputation to that wagon. But maybe that's the point. Maybe Bertha doesn't care if Hector is a perfect husband. Maybe she only cares that everyone thinks he is, because perception is her currency. And this is a deposit so big it could buy her entry into circles even Mrs. Astor can't reach. Speaking of Mrs. Astor, oh, the delicious irony. While Bertha's basking in her triumph, Mrs. Astor is facing her own very public humiliation. A divorce scandal involving her daughter. It's like the showrunners threw both women into the same social battlefield and said, only one of you gets to leave with your crown intact. And honestly, if Season 4 leans into this rivalry, we could be looking at the most cutthroat chapter yet. Let me throw this to you. And I want you to comment your answer because I'm dying to know where you stand. If you were Gladys, would you have said, I do? Would you take the title, the jewels, the prestige, and deal with the rest later? Or would you have risked humiliating your family in front of all of New York's elite? Be honest, I won't judge. So okay, I might raise one eyebrow, but you can't see me, so it's fine. And speaking of honesty, can we talk about Jack Trotter for a second? Because while all this glittering drama is unfolding, Jack is out here making the deal of a lifetime. That better alarm clock we've been hearing about since Season 2. Sold for $600,000. That's $300,000 each for Jack and Larry Russell. And my favorite part, Jack suddenly has the kind of money where he could walk away from work forever, and he chooses to stay. If that's not the most wholesome curveball in this entire episode, I don't know what is. But let's not pretend that much money doesn't paint a big target on your back in this world. Which brings me to another Season 4 trailer moment you might have missed. There's a blink, and you'll miss it shot of Jack looking cornered, like someone's asking for more than he's willing to give. And that's the magic of this episode. And this season, so far, every win feels just a little too clean. Every triumph has a shadow. Every smile hides a secret. Alright, let's talk about the Season 4 trailer, because if you blink during certain shots, you might have missed the setup for the entire next act of The Gilded Age. One scene in particular has been stuck in my head for days. Bertha, standing in a room full of men in black coats, speaking with a voice that is almost shaking. Not from fear, but from restraint. It's the same look she had back in Season 2, right before she crushed a rival's charity gala, without so much as touching a drop of champagne. And if you think Bertha has climbed this far to just protect Gladys, You haven't been paying attention. This is about legacy. But here's the part the trailer only hints at. The Duke of Buckingham might not be the asset Bertha believes he is. In one clip moment, we see Gladys sitting alone in what looks like a drawing room, staring at the floor, while muffled voices argue in the background. The lighting is darker, colder than anything we've seen in her Russell-era scenes. Could this be London? Could Gladys be discovering that her new title comes with a cage she didn't agree to? And if so, does Bertha pull her back? Or does she double down and say, "We don't leave dukes, we use them"? And that brings me to the real, unspoken danger of this wedding. It's not just Gladys' personal life at stake. It's the Russell name. One crack in the Buckingham facade, and the whispers will grow louder than any ballroom waltz. Think about it. In New York society, wealth is a weapon, but scandal is an atomic bomb. And we already have one going off across town, Mrs. Astor's divorce mess. Now here's my theory, and I want you to tell me if I'm completely off my rocker. Season 4 might position Mrs. Astor and Bertha as mirror images. One is losing her grip on the throne because of a scandal she can't control. The other is risking everything for a calculated marriage that might explode. By mid-season, both could be fighting for the same small scrap of social dominance, and honestly, I'm here for it. Let's make this fun. Drop this in the comments if you were Bertha, and your daughter hated her new life. Would you pull her out? Or would you say, "Sorry darling, we've come too far to quit now"? Be honest. And yes, I know half of you are gonna say, "I'd have never married her to him in the first place." But remember, this is Bertha we're talking about. Love is optional. Power is mandatory. Also, am I the only one who sees Gladys' wedding as the opposite of the romances we've seen in the show so far? Think about Marian in Season 1, cautiously testing the waters of affection. Compare that to Gladys. Shoved straight into the deep end, no life raft. If you think this is the last we've seen of her inner fire, think again. The trailer even shows her exchanging a sharp glance with a man who is definitely not the Duke. Forbidden romance in Season 4, or just wishful thinking from me? You decide. And before I spiral too far into the tragedy of Gladys' love life, let's circle back to Jack Trotter. Our sweet, earnest clockmaker turned sudden millionaire. I joked in a past video that Jack was own patent away from being the Jeff Bezos of the Gilded Age. And here we are. The man could literally retire before his next shave. But instead of running off to buy a yacht, he stays put. Which is either the most noble decision ever, or the setup for him getting steamrolled by someone a lot less noble in Season 4. And come on, you know Larry Russell's gonna have plans for that money. Plans that involve risk. Plans that involve other people's money. If Jack isn't careful, he could find himself rich one day and penniless the next. And in this society, being a fallen rich man is worse than being born poor. This is what I love about where the Gilded Age is right now. No one is safe. Not socially, not financially, not romantically. Every time someone wins, someone else loses, and the balance keeps shifting. And with the Season 4 trailer teasing bigger stakes, London politics, transatlantic scandals, shifting alliances, it feels like the show is stepping into a new, more dangerous game. One where even Bertha might not be able to script the ending. And that's the question I want to leave you with. When the game changes, does Bertha change with it, or does she cling to her old playbook until it finally turns on her? Drop your theories below. I read every single one, and the best ones always end up making it into future breakdowns. Alright, my fellow high society detectives, we've unwrapped the wedding, peeked at the trailer, poked at the scandals, and probably made Bertha very, very angry in the process. But that's half the fun. If you want to stay ahead of the gossip, the power plays, and the plot twists, make sure you're subscribed. Because trust me, the things we're gonna uncover in Season 4 will make this wedding look like casual brunch. And hey, if you enjoyed today's breakdown, share it with your friend who doesn't watch the Gilded Age. You might just pull them into this beautiful mess with us. Until next time, I'm Sophia. This is Breakdown Epic, and remember, in the Gilded Age, every smile hides a strategy.